Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple questions about the emotional detox practice.
Yeah.
Because I've personally never heard the term emotional detox. So when I was diving through your work, there's one question that kept popping up in my mind, and it's because I have the mentality of a 5-year old. And it just kept ringing every time, and it's the only question I could get out. What is emotional constipation?
Oh, you must have, I think I wrote a blog on that or something. You're funny.
Yeah, I
I
just heard the term. I was like, what is
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's exactly what constipation feels like. I mean, it's just all bound up, wound up in your body, emotional suppression. And when you bury and you pour a lot of reactivity on it. So the best way to describe an emotional detox is to think about it in terms of a physical detox. And a physical detox, you drink a juice or something, your intention is to get rid of all the toxins and the impurities, and then you hope you gain energy and you feel better, right? It's the same thing with an emotional detox, only the difference is we are clearing our reactions to our emotions because we've learned to either suppress them, repress them, avoid them, distract ourselves from them, bury them, act on them. And those I call reactions. What we're doing is we're clearing the reactions, so that you can actually feel the emotions pure as is. Because the emotions are actually not the problem, it's the way that we react to them. So it's the same thing like with food. If there's a piece of food and it's got chemicals on it, it's going to be a little nutritious, right? But if you buy or if you pick a piece of fruit off a tree and there's no chemicals and it's organic, it's going to be really nutritious. It's going to taste different. It's going to feel different. It's going to smell different. It's the same thing with your emotions. The reactions influence the amount of, I'm going to call it nutrition that you get from them. And just like over processed food can constipate you and doesn't help you sort of digest and release and excrete all that waste, it's the same thing with our emotions. It's just it's in the non-physical.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting. And like the fact, like you just said, the fact that it's non-physical, I
Mm,
think kind of makes people shrug it off.
yeah.
Um, it seems I've never done it, but emotional detoxing, it kind of seems to be this like incredibly underrated form of practice.
Mhm.
When we're looking not just at mental health upkeep. Wow, that's a new one.
That could be a new word. I like that.
I just invented a new word here on this
You
podcast.
did. I love
Perfect.
that. Yep.
This mental upkeep, um, but also like proper body maintenance. So why is there such an underrated quality to these techniques that you offer?
I don't think I think we were taught about our emotions, but I feel like we were only taught a little bit about them. We didn't get the whole picture. And therefore everybody's been really trying to make sense of them off very little information. It's like buying something and you don't, I don't know if you've ever had to put something together and you get like instructions and you order something online and you're like, these directions suck. Like, I have no idea how to do this. This is awful. This could have been so much better. That's sort of the way I feel about emotions. Like, we were given them and we weren't really given the whole picture. And the thing that was left out. Now I have a case of messing up words where now it's contagious, right?
I'm sorry. I'm
The
so
thing
sorry.
we're gonna people in your audience are gonna start talking funny. So anyway, um, is the processing part. So we were taught how to label them. We were taught how to talk about them, and that's good, but we weren't really taught how to process them. And processing an emotion and talking about an emotion are not the same thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember when I went to therapy, and I had gone so many times, like, and that's side note, that's something I stress to viewers and friends also, is like the first time you go to therapy or the first time you take medication or whatever, it might not work because it might not be for you. And that often gets people discouraged. So this might have been like the fifth or sixth therapist I had seen. And she
Mhm.
finally was a good one. And I was like, yes, let's go. I was hyped. But she
Uh,
said, because I used to have a case of being extremely hot headed.
mm,
Um, and I was a competitive swimmer for 11 years, but I would have a bad race and I would get so pissed off that the only emotion I knew how to recognize was angry, because as young boys and kids in general, but the two emotions that are really highlighted are like angry and happy. Those are the two that,
yeah,
and sad, I guess. But
yeah.
growing up, the only role models I had expressed their sadness through anger. So like the older
Mm,
swimmers on the team, like they would have a bad race, they'd punch the lockers, they'd like swear at the refs, like all these things, and that's what I looked up to. So that's kind of how I expressed my emotions. Um, and I'm not proud of it at all. It was it's really
yeah.
embarrassing. And every time I tell the stories, my friends are like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. That's not me anymore. I can't get that physically angry." But
Uh-huh.
she told me like when you're feeling these emotions, like you're feeling angry, overwhelmed, anxious, what have you, she told me to kind of mentally take a step back and address it as if you're watching a movie as opposed to
Mm,
living in the movie. And I found that
mm,
helped me so much. And then another technique she told me was, let's say I have an anxious thought and
mhm,
it's making me overthink things. So I, I don't know an example. Let's say I'm in a relationship and I think my partner's cheating on me, and I
mhm.
have that thought and I'm convincing myself that it's a thing because you don't tell anyone and you just let your brain soak in it. What she
Right.
told me was to take a step back, go, oh look, there's that crazy thought you're having. There it goes,
Yeah.
and just
Uh-huh.
let it go and address it like that as opposed to embrace it. And that helped so much.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, those are great.